welcome everybody. We are super excited. This is our last day of the virtual vacation extravaganza, kind of a new way of allowing our clients to learn about a lot of different segments of the vacation industry. And today is our last seminar, but it's not the least. We're super excited to be talking about land vacations, and we will have each of our panelists introduce themselves and then share a little bit about their products and what makes them so special.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mimi and Mark. This is a fun way for us to do our extravaganza, something kind of new and exciting. And it's been working great this week. So we, who knows what happens in the future, but I imagine that Zooming will probably be always a part of our culture from here on out. So glad that you all could join us. Thank you for chiming in. With us today, I also have my colleague, Jessica. She is going to be monitoring any questions that come in. We ask that you keep yourselves on mute during the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in the chat box, and Jessica will make sure that those questions get answered before the end of our show today. As you know, this is completely new to us, and it's a new way. If you've been to our other extravaganzas, you're used to one person doing a presentation at a time in our conference space. And this time we're actually doing more of a panel, so it's a sort of interview style. So we are going to be asking questions, and some of them will be directed to everyone, some will be directed to individuals, and we'll go through and answer those for you all and learn a lot more about our land tours products that we highly recommend. So first, let's start by introducing, we have Robin with Globus family of brands. Robin, if you want to say hello.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Robin with the Globus family of brands, and we go to over 70 countries. We have over 500 different vacation options for you and 4 different styles of travel. So you could very easily go anywhere, almost anywhere in the world with the Globus family of brands. So thank you for having me.
Fantastic. And next we have Robin Koval with the Grand Canyon Railway Tours.
Hi everyone, I'm Robin Koval, and I am with the Grand Canyon Railway and the Xanterra Travel Collection. So we're not just the railway, we have a lot of things. It's not just the Grand Canyon, which is great and which I'm here to talk about, but we do go around the world too with all of our other products. But the railway's been around since 1901, and it's a great way to enhance your experience to head up and visit the Grand Canyon.
Fantastic. And on to Dan Piehler with Insight Vacations. Dan, say hello.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being on the call today. Happy Friday. Hope you're all ready for a great weekend. Insight Vacations, basically, we really specialize in upper premium guided tour travel, really in Europe and North America. That's kind of our niche. However, we do expand to a few other countries as well, which we'll get to in a little bit. So definitely excited to be here. Thanks for being on the call today.
Perfect. Thank you all very much. Starting off today, let's go ahead and talk about, if you can each let me know 3 things that make your product unique. So let's go ahead and start with Robin up in the corner there.
Me, Robin? Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Robin with Globus family of brands.
That's okay. So one of the things that makes us unique is because of our breadth of our portfolio, we are able to take a land vacation and partner with a river cruise or vice versa, or put multiple countries together for you. But we have been in business for over 90 years. We are the largest and oldest tour operator in the world, and we take great pride in the fact that we have 52 offices worldwide. So if there's something going on in the world, we have boots on the ground to help us make sure that everybody is happy, healthy, and safe. And so we have also just a wide variety of products, from different styles of travel to different price points, even some off-season stuff. So a lot of different choices with the family.
Perfect. That's fantastic. All right, moving on to Robin Koval with Grand Canyon Railway.
So we're unique, one, because we're a train, and there's not a lot of them left in the United States that have trains to get you everywhere, which seems to be a way people want to be traveling these days. So one, we have the train. It goes from Williams, Arizona up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. 2, we get to operate all of the lodges and museums and everything up at the Grand Canyon. So not only are you getting the prize, which is the Grand Canyon, probably the biggest wow moment I think anybody could have is standing there and looking into that Grand Canyon. But you can book us with staying nights at the canyon, staying in Williams on our property, which we have a hotel that sits on property. So it's just a fun way to enhance the experience of visiting one of the natural wonders of the world, which happens to be in our country right now.
Very true, absolutely. All right, and Dan, with Insight Vacations, what are 3 things that make Insight unique?
Yeah, I would say, in short, again, Insight Vacations, we're more of an upper premium guided tour company, really specializing in giving our guests a really authentic experience. So really 3 things. Number 1, I would say the first thing would be the Insight experiences. We like to say that we specialize in the ungoogleable experiences, which is really hard to say after a couple of glasses of wine, but we like to say ungoogleable experience, really something you couldn't do if you traveled on your own. Example of that, if we go to Rome, we go to the Vatican City, we get VIP access to go up the Bramante staircase. So you can actually walk where the Pope walks. So it's a really cool experience like that. That's just one example. Another one I would say really would be our small groups. Being upper premium, Insight really specializes in that small group travel. So we have a couple layers of that. One is our classic groups, which is about 40 people max. The other one is a small group departure, which has 24 people max. And then I would say probably the third thing would be the way we travel, which is primarily luxury coach. So you think of guided tours, you think of getting around in a coach. Now with the Insight, one thing that sets us apart is that luxury coach, because we have actually double leg room inside our coaches. With smaller groups, there's more room. You can't tell on this virtual call, but I'm actually 6'7", so I don't fit in airplanes, buses, or my own car, but I do fit very well in our luxury coaches. So they're very comfortable, and it's a great way to travel. And then also the places we stay, the hotels, will always pick centrally located hotels or scenic hotels that are on that 4, 4.5, 5-star rating. So again, upper premium experiences that are really kind of ungoogleable and authentic.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And you actually touched on my next question already, which is fantastic. And I wanted to also give the Robins a chance to respond on this as well. Let's talk about group size. If you can let me know kind of what your typical group size is. If COVID has affected the group sizes for the future at this point, do you see anything as far as a reduction in numbers that's going to be required? So let's go ahead and start with Robin with Globus Family.
Sure. So on average, historically, our average group size is about 30. We have deluxe motor coaches, and we obviously do not fill them. So we've got plenty of more space and that sort of thing. However, with what's going on with COVID, many of our tours are multi-country tours. So what we will do is we'll adhere to the strictest rules of the rules that are the strictest from one destination. And then say we had 30 people, but the max is now 15, we would just split that group into buses so that we could accommodate everyone. We also have what we call private touring that you can do on any of our European tours, 2 to 24 passengers. You can actually make it private. And we also do have small group discovery. So no more than 24, usually on average about 20. So we have that in our exotics and throughout our product portfolio.
Perfect. And Robin with Grand Canyon Railway, I know it's a little bit of a tougher question for you just because you don't necessarily represent the traditional tour group product, but maybe if you can talk about how many guests are on your typical train car and motor coach touring within the park.
Yeah, so we have 6 classes of service on the train, and every class of service offers a different number of people that you might see on there. So if you're looking at Pullman and coach, which are lower classes, they tend to have upwards of 90 people. During COVID, we're at about 40% of that right now because they want to make sure they have seats in between different parties. So we will sit parties together and then put seats in between. For our first class, you're talking anywhere from 48 on the top end to 24. And then for our luxury classes, honestly, it's varying. 55 in the luxury dome. You can do, I think it's 48 in the luxury parlor, depending on the parlor car that's on there. So it really depends, but we actually have the private charters. So you can charter your own car and you can have 2 people in that if you would choose to, or up to whatever that car will hold. And according to COVID, are 40 to 50%, to having your own private train departure where you have 2 people, 32 people, 48 people. I just quoted one for 20 on an Ultimate Polar Express departure. That's their own departure, their own Santa, everything in one car with their own personal experience. So it really depends on what somebody wants.
That would be a great gift idea for grandma and grandpa, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
No presents needed, right?
Yep.
Okay, so moving on to my next question. Thank you guys for answering that one. As far as maybe if you can just give us a little glimpse of what a typical day of touring would be with your company. So Robin, if you want to just kind of give us a typical day of maybe what you've experienced firsthand or something that your clients have reported back with you.
Absolutely. So one of the great things and one of the things that we treasure the most at the Globus family of brands are our tour directors. And they're with our guests every step of the way on our classic tours with Globus and with Cosmos. And what we love about them is everything is already pre-planned, and we really take the waiting out of getting to sites. You know, we'll be there before they open, or we'll have VIP, the skip the line process, so that you're not standing in line. So we'll typically, you know, start after breakfast and have a pretty full day. But within that day, you also have some free time in different spots. Because you're not standing in line, that really frees up, you know, some of that time that you normally be, you know, trying to make sure you are in the right line. We make sure we get you where you're supposed to be. We have great motor coach drivers that always know exactly where to drop off and where to pick up, and there's no problems with that. So, you know, we want to keep you busy throughout the day. Some days you'll have multiple meals included. Some days it'll be in a spot where we know that there's going to be a lot of different choices. So we allow you to have that free time to do that as well. And then of course we have what, you know, our included sightseeing. So each day you'll have some component of included sightseeing. We have some optional excursions, but my favorite are the local favorites. And those are things that take you kind of behind the scenes. They might not be the reason you book the vacation, but they are the thing that you come back and talk about the most. Like when I went to Argentina and learned how to tango dance. And so, you know, somebody who barely danced at our wedding, now my husband was dancing the tango, trying to learn how to tango. Because we were on vacation, we're having so much fun. So those local favorites are always included. They're never extra. And they are usually the topic that comes up with your friends when you get back the most. So that's kind of a typical day.
Fantastic. Thank you, Robin. Moving on to Robin with the Grand Canyon Railway. What's a typical day like on your tour?
So a day starts out with a Wild West shootout. We have a nice little arena outside the hotel, and we have a group called the Cataract Creek Gang, which puts on a little exciting show to get everybody excited about boarding the train. Once on the train, you have a 2-hour and 15-minute leisurely ride up to the canyon. Once you arrive at the canyon, that's where you get to choose. So you can choose to take a tour while you're up at the canyon and just stay for the day. You can choose to stay for the day and walk around on your own. But at that point, you also have the choice to stay a night or two up at the canyon. You can add tours on, you can hike, you can bike, whatever you would choose to. The train runs every day but Christmas Day, so it leaves on time. And I say on time because we own our tracks. There's nobody that gets in our way. So it leaves promptly at 9:30 in the morning out of Williams, gets to the canyon promptly at 11:45, and it leaves the canyon at 3:30, gets back to Williams at 5:45. And then once you're back in Williams, you can add on a nice little short block walk over to historic Route 66 and enjoy some of the things our piece of Route 66 has to offer.
Very cool. Our family did get a chance to experience your railway several years ago over spring break. And that's what's nice about Arizona is the weather is actually much warmer there year round than it is where we're from. So it was a great time of the year to be there. Moving on to Dan, I know that you and Robin share kind of a similar day-to-day experience, but if you can kind of give us some of your highlights, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Robin said it great too. Usually with the guided sector, especially on Insight, we like, we'll start the day out with a breakfast typically, and then we'll have some sort of activity between that and lunch. And then we'll have lunch, another activity, and then dinner. Now, every day is a little bit different, right? So it's not necessarily going to follow that, but whether that's some kind of sightseeing, some special experience or excursion, we'll always have a couple activities planned during the day. However, with that, not everybody wants to wake up at 8 and go to bed and go, and then go back to bed and start all over again. So we try to make sure we have a little bit of free time involved, like Robin said, to relax starts, things like that, and want to make sure we have a nice mix of activities, but also free time so you can really explore those destinations on your own. So definitely a nice little mix.
Perfect. Thank you. And another question for everyone that I'm actually going to combine two questions together. As far as a first-time traveler's itinerary that you would recommend, is there one that that first-time travelers, a specific itinerary that first-time travelers tend to gravitate towards as far as maybe the most popular? And also, if you could let us know kind of what your typical traveler is. Who is your typical client? Robin with Globus, let's go ahead and start with you.
Well, I can't pick just one. We have over 500 different itineraries. But the nice thing about it is, our most popular destinations typically are going to be Italy and Ireland. Those are always, for international, those always seem to come up first. And then we also have our Undiscovered series, which is going to be things a little bit off the beaten path. So even if you've been to a destination a couple of times that you fell in love with it, now you can go back and rediscover it kind of outside the large cities and into some of the smaller areas where you can meet with the locals, eat where they eat, shop where they shop. So we have that around the world and even here in the United States. And then of course our national parks tours and our US tours. One of my favorites is our Southern Charms, which is Charleston and Jekyll Island and St. Simon Island, that whole area. So there's a lot of variety. It just really depends. And your team does such a great job of deciding what should be the next vacation based on, all the different factors. So I can't pick just one. That's hard.
I know that.
And I didn't mean to pull a debate thing where I didn't answer the second part of the question. The second part of the question was, what's our average passenger? Our sweet spot is usually about 50 to 60 years of age, but we do have a lot of multi-generational. So, grandparents who either want to take their kids and their grandkids, or sometimes they do what's called a skip generation, where you leave out your kids and you just take the grandkids. So that's a lot of fun. And then like our Cosmos products, we have a lot of millennials that take advantage of those great price points. So really, it just depends on the destination, what that passenger looks like.
Perfect. And then moving on to Robin with Grand Canyon Railway.
It's funny because we have a lot of different options, but I would say the most recommended option for somebody going for the first time is a 3-night package. You arrive in Williams, you stay the night, your first night in Williams, you'd get up and take the train the next morning, and then you would stay the night at the canyon, coming back the next day with another overnight in Williams. And I think it's important to stay the night at the canyon. I don't remember if you did or not, Cassie, that's been a few years ago. But honestly, you go up for the day, it just kind of teases you. That canyon is beautiful, but it comes to life at sunset and sunrise. People really don't realize it's part of the Painted Desert because they think the Painted Desert is the little building that you go to visit, but it's actually most of northern Arizona. And so you get those Painted Desert colors at night when the sun is setting, or in the morning when the sun is rising. And you kind of miss that if you don't do a 3-day package, or a 3-night package, I should say, not a 3-day package. But who are our clients? And that pretty much encompasses everybody you can think of. So we are not only family oriented to multi-generational, because we do have grandparents bringing their grandkids and that sort of thing. We can accommodate ADA very easily because we have lifts on the train. We have ADA rooms available both in Williams and at the Canyon. But we also can accommodate the photographer. I mean, you can't ask for a better canvas to take a picture of than the Grand Canyon at sunset. Or we're a national, a world-known national dark skies park. So you see more stars than you can see anywhere at night because we really don't have any ambient lighting. So I've actually taken pictures of stars with my iPhone, which normally you would never be able to do. Hikers, bikers, outdoor enthusiasts, any train enthusiasts. So we pretty much run the gamut as far as who our client is.
Perfect, thank you. And Dan, as far as that goes, who is your typical client that you guys market to? And as far as, you know, it's just your most popular itineraries that those first timers would be interested in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so hard to pick one, isn't it? There's so many great places to go. I would really say for first timers and our most popular itineraries, of course, you're thinking about the I's, Italy, Ireland. Those are always the two big ones. Germany and Spain, those are also very popular. So if you've never been to Europe before, if you want to try a guided tour, those are great suggestions. Maybe you have been to Europe before, but you haven't actually done one of those tours. You want to try somewhere a little bit different. Two of the countries we're seeing that are really up and coming and are growing in popularity would definitely be Egypt. And then I would also say Iceland as well. So those are all two other really great options. In terms of the guided sector, and if you're looking for something, maybe this is your first time traveling, we actually have different categories. We have 4 different travel styles for Insight Vacations. First time travelers would be great with our one that we have called Easy Pace. It's basically 3 nights in 3 different locations, a little bit low key, not as go, a little more time to relax, a little more leisure times. Those are great for first time guided tour clients. And on the flip side of that, if you're very experienced, we have something called Country Roads, which is off the beaten path a little bit. So kind of not really seeing those main sites, but something a little bit different. You couldn't go anywhere else. So that's what we'd recommend for both people who are experienced and for people who maybe never been to Europe or never been on a guided tour. Second part, in terms of the age range, we skew a little bit older. Baby boomers, 50 to 65 is that average age. We do allow multi-generational families too, but typically 50 to 65 is kind of that ballpark range where we see a majority of our guests.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to go on to another question. And actually, this one would probably be a little bit more for our guided land tour hosts or our vendors that are with us today. My question would be, do you have many products that you can schedule as a back-to-back? I know Robin did talk about how Globus does combined with Avalon Waterways, and that's a very popular back-to-back. But as far as the ocean cruise market, or even the potential of doing 2 different land tours as a back-to-back, if you can tell us about the options, or if that is a possibility with you all. I'll start with Robin with Globus.
Okay. Well, yes, we have lots of tours that we can put together as back-to-backs. And if you do that, you actually get an extra 5% discount for doing a back-to-back tour. So that's really a great opportunity. And then in addition to partnering with Avalon, which is part of our family, we also have relationships with Rocky Mountaineer. If you wanted to if you want to do the Rockies, of course, we've got NCL and Holland America that we partner with. In Greece, we partner with Celestial Cruises. And then we also have train components, you know, throughout different areas. And even we have a great train trip in Australia as well. So we do have those partnerships.
Fantastic. How about you, Dan? What does Insight do that would allow that type of opportunity?
Yeah, we definitely do back-to-back too. We have a lot of guests that enjoy doing that for whichever country they're in. We're very fortunate that part of the TTC brand that Insight is part of also has Uniworld also. So we oftentimes partner up with our river cruise brand Uniworld and do multiple trips that are back-to-back too. For instance, in Egypt, we have a land portion and then we do a Nile river cruise. So That's definitely a nice asset. It's always fun to kind of change it up and do it back to back like that. But then we also partner with other suppliers as well. Rocky Mountaineer is a great one out in the Rockies. So yes, we do back to back, and we do have a lot of great partnerships, which definitely helps us out a lot.
Perfect. Thank you. Robin with Grand Canyon Railway Tours, if I could start with you with this question. You could let us know what would and would not be included in your experience. Are gratuities included, meals, what types of additional expenses do people need to be aware of?
Okay, I'm going to take COVID out of the mix because obviously that changes things a little bit, but the majority of the time we offer packages that include the majority of your experience. So it would include your hotel nights, it would include your round trip train, it includes all your meals when you're in Williams, so breakfast and dinner for however many nights that you're in Williams, and they tend to include a tour at the canyon. So what would not be included would be your meals at the canyon. So that would be a breakfast, lunch, and dinner on that 3-night package that I mentioned. And that's totally up to you. On the train, there would be, as long as you're in first class and above, up to luxury, you would have snacks on board for pastries like for breakfast, hors d'oeuvres in the afternoon. They include soft drinks, tea, coffee, lemonade. What would not be included would be any add-on tours that you might want to do, like if you wanted to take a helicopter tour over the canyon, or you wanted to do a smooth water float on the river, or even take a coach down to the bottom and experience what it's like down at the river at the bottom of the canyon. Those types of things would be additional. And then gratuities, as you mentioned, are appropriate. You would never have anybody ask for tipping, but you will see people tipping. So my recommendation is always a $20 bill per person broken out into 2 5s and 10 1s. And if you like the entertainment that's on the train, give them $1. You want the robbers to pay attention to you, definitely throw $1 out there. They'll come pay attention to those kids if you have kids with you for sure. And then $5 for your passenger service attendant, and maybe $5 for your bus drivers up at the canyon if you have them and you're taking the tour at the canyon. They do appreciate it. And I know there have been times I've not tipped, and I will put that out there because it's appropriate to your experience. Since they don't ask for it, it's not required. Whereas I've been on the train where I've had a passenger service attendant far exceed any expectation I would have, and that's working for them, far exceed that expectation. And I've given $20. So it's more appropriate to your experience, but it's better to be prepared than not to be prepared at all.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you. Robin with Globus, tell us a little bit about what is actually included and not included. What are the additional expenses to keep in mind when traveling?
Or in speaking to 2 of our brands, Globus, of course, is our fully escorted first class touring product. And with that, we have many inclusions, more sightseeing. We have several meals throughout your visit, breakfast daily, of course, those local favorites. We even include the tips for the local guides, so you don't have to worry about that. So the only thing that you would be spending outside of your prepaid package would be the couple of meals. Usually it's a lunch that's not going to be included, a couple of dinners that aren't included. And then we try and include as many, sightseeing experiences as we possibly can. So we might have 3 or 4 additional tours that might not be of interest to everyone. It could be a concert in Vienna and not everybody wants, that's not your cup of tea. So we don't include that, but then you have the option of doing something else that night or joining, part of your group. And then with Cosmos, which is our more budget-friendly brand, we don't have as many inclusions. You still have all the must-see sightseeing and you get breakfast daily. However, you have more free time to kind of customize it as you wish, especially using our, we have apps for each one, complimentary apps for each of our brands that will help you find shopping and dining and other excursions during your free time. So really, it just depends on what you're looking for. And it's so easy. One vacation might be something that you want the Globus brand for, but maybe another vacation you go, oh, I want to have more free time. I've been there before. I want to do this, have everything taken care of for me, but I want to have more free time and more flexibility to go eat where I want to eat and shop and do some other things. So it really depends on the individual.
Perfect. Thank you. Dan, how would you say that? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, mostly the same for the most part. On an Insight tour, pretty much everything you see when you're looking at the tour and the brochure on the website will be included. Usually we like to say about 2 meals a day. One of those will always be breakfast. The other one will be either a lunch or dinner. So usually you're probably on your own for maybe one of those meals as we kind of transport ourselves from location to location. Other than that, pretty much everything's included. Gratuities is an option, so you can either prepay that, or if you like, you can prepay when you're there. And then also optionals would be something you pay for in addition to when you're on your tour. Other than that, again, pretty much for the most part, everything will be included.
Perfect. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Robin.
I'm sorry. I do want to clarify because I'm going to cheat off of Dan. I talked about the tips for the local guides. Those are included. However, for your tips overall, for your tour director and your motor coach driver, you can prepay those, or you can pay them once you're on board. So I didn't want to give misinformation on that.
Perfect. Thank you. Dan, if you want to actually have another question for you, you talked about a little bit, the fact that your hotels are centrally located. I know that's a very important aspect of Insight. But as far as location goes, do people have the option? What type of room category would a guest be booked into with Insight? And do they have the option to upgrade upon arrival?
That's a good question. So yeah, like you said, for our hotels, we take a lot of pride in the places that we stay at. So they're always going to be 4, 4.5, that 5-star hotel category. Centrally located, we want to be in the city center, really where everything is going on. We don't want to put you way far out in the distance. We want to be right there where all the action is. On the flip side of that, sometimes on some of our more scenic tours, like country roads category, which is a little more off the beaten path, we will stay at those scenic hotels that, of course, have beautiful views. We want to be in the nicest spots possible. So that is really where we stay. In terms of room upgrades, you do have the option to upgrade. There'll be a little bit of an additional cost if you do that the day of. So we definitely encourage to do that beforehand, before the departure, but that is an option that we do have too.
Good to know. Thank you very much. Moving on to Robin with Grand Canyon Railway. My question for you is, and you've talked about this a little bit, but just maybe expand it a little bit more. What are the accommodations like for your train? Just your different classes of service, what differentiates those?
So you want specifically the train?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about the train specifically.
Okay, so as I said, we have 6 classes of service, starting from the lowest end, which is our Pullman class. And we like to tease that one is air conditioned at 40/40, so it's 40 miles an hour with 40 windows down. So really and truly, that is the only class we have that is not air conditioned out of all of the other classes of service. We run 1923 Pullmans for our Pullman class. And then you jump up to our coach class, which are Bud class cars. We run historic cars, so they're all decorated back to the time they were on the tracks. This one, I would say, and even Pullman are very similar to school bus type seats. They tend to cater a lot more toward the smaller children. Before I worked for them, I actually did first class probably 14 times round trip, and I was perfectly happy in first class. And I say that because we have these other classes, but if you can only do first class and that's what you want to do, that's the one I personally would recommend. It tends to be older children, if there's going to be children in first class, which children are 2 to 15 for us. Motor coach type seats that are more plush, they tend to be able to rock and face each other. So if you have a family of 4, they're not necessarily having to sit across from each other or front to back. And we start including things. So you start including a complimentary soft drinks, tea, coffee, lemonade. You have a continental breakfast in the morning, hors d'oeuvres in the afternoon. And then we have an observation dome, which are, for lack of a better way of describing it, the little bubble domes. up at the top of the cars. It'll fit 24 people, again, oversized motor coach type seats. It's a beautiful view from up there, but because these are historic cars, those particular ones, so you know, have 2/3 or 90% window, they're 10% solid, and have one air conditioning system. So they can cool down to about 78 degrees on a warm day. That is the last class we allow children. And then we have our luxury classes, which we have 2. We have a luxury dome, which again, if you're not traveling with children and you want to do a dome, do the luxury dome. Those are American Orient Express cars that we put on the tracks. And we got to design it. So it's kind of cool. If you knew anything about American Orient Express, they had passenger and sleeper cars. Well, we cut the top off the passenger cars and put a dome in there. So it's 2/3 window, 1/3 solid. Up and down, you have free roam. The lower level is just oversized couches and chairs. There's 3 bars and 2 bathrooms in that particular class. And then our luxury parlor car is always the last car that has a platform off the back where you can go outside and enjoy the fresh air.
Fantastic. Those all sound amazing. Robin Piper with Globus Family and Brands. Let's move on. And I have a question for you regarding the travel time. So, you know, oftentimes you're on a bus with our land tours. Do you guys cap the number of hours from one destination to the next? Or does that just vary based on, is there, you know, a kind of an average length of time that those rides usually are?
Yeah, so we will only drive a certain amount of miles in a day. However, there are going to be stops along the way. So the longest that you would be on a coach without a sight to see would be about 2 hours. But in that time, we would also take, you know, a break for people to rest their, to stretch their legs or use the restrooms or, you know, get a snack, things like that. And in our brochure and on our app, it actually tells you how many miles we'll be traveling on any given day. So that's kind of a nice guide. But, you know, we like to say that we invented carpooling. So leave the driving to us, take a nap if you need to, you know, see the sights. It's great when you go to places like the Grand Canyon and everybody who came on vacation gets to see it, right, Robin?
Oh, absolutely.
One person being stuck behind the wheel. So, you know, we try to be sensible about how far the distances are.
Absolutely. Very good. I have a question now for, let's see here. Let's go on to Dan. Dan, what if you get tired while you are touring? Do you have to do every single tour that's offered? Do you have the option to just go off on your own for the day if it's something maybe you've done before, you're just not quite in the mood that day to be social, or do a lot of walking if you want to just go and relax? I mean, how much flexibility do you have there?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good question. The tour police won't get you, don't worry. So we'll be good there. But really, of course, we're not going to force anyone to do something they're not comfortable with. If they're just not feeling great that day, by no means do they have to do a certain experience and whatnot. The only requirement is that when we do move from a certain destination, the destination we're going to, if we're staying at a hotel one night in a city and next night we're going to be staying in another one, we just need to make sure that you are going to be on the coach so we can get you to the next place that you have to go to. So again, no one's going to force you to do something you don't want to do. That would not be right. So that's kind of how that works.
Perfect. Thank you. Robin with Globus Family of Brands. As far as this question is, do you have different itineraries for different activity levels? If you're a go person, do you have that level? I wonder if you're someone who just likes to sleep in the morning and just kind of sip that cup of coffee for longer than the average person. How much are there different levels that you can be a part of?
Absolutely. And, you know, so with the Globus brand, we have what we call our on the go, which as the name implies, it's going to be more 1 and 2 night stays places. And then we also have our, you know, our more leisurely side where you're going to have more 2 and 3 night stays. So to Dan's point, if you don't want to do something a certain day and it's not a day that we are transitioning to a new city, then you're able to, to do what you want, as long as you're there before the bus leaves again. Now with Cosmos, we do have 30 to 40% more free time. So if going at your own pace is important, that's a great option for you as well. And then we also have our Monograms brand, which is now also in the United States. And that's our more independent style travel. With that product, you can actually pick your hotels. So you have a portfolio to choose from. So you can upgrade before you depart. And then with that, you have a local host, and you're not doing everything as a small group. As a larger group, if the 5 of us wanted to travel together, we'd be our own group and we could do whatever we wanted to throughout our stay there. So lots of choices in that regard.
Perfect, thank you. Something that Robin with Grand Canyon Railways had mentioned is the ability to just charter a whole train car and have your own private group. I love that concept. Dan, does Insight have the ability to do groups, and what is the typical group size, or I guess I should say minimum group size, and what are the advantages of setting up groups through you?
Yeah, definitely. So we do groups. That's a big part of the Insight business. If you have basically 11 or more people, we can put a group together. We can do groups off our brochure, already created itineraries. That is a very popular option. But however, we do have custom groups too. So really, no matter where you want to go, as long as you have 11 people, if you have a certain list of things you want to do, places you want to stay at, we have a wonderful custom groups department that can really customize that itinerary and make that group happen. So groups is a big part about what we do, and we definitely have a nice group to do that. So
perfect, thank you. Robin with Globus. Obviously, I know you guys do groups. I've worked with your groups department before many times. What's the advantage of setting up a group, and what's the minimum group size?
So we will start groups with just 8 passengers. So that's great. We also offer some great incentives for our groups. So we can do anywhere from, actually with our private touring, we can do 2 people up to 24 people. We are, so you can do that. You can take over a whole departure if you'd like. If you are listening today and maybe you travel with your church group or, a family reunion, we can do a sole use coach, which means that it would be your people, only your people. If you don't want to meet anybody new, we could have that arranged for you as well. So there's lots of options, and we absolutely adore groups. And I think moving forward, it's going to be even more important as we start reuniting with friends and family from across the country, that maybe we'll meet up and do a tour of London, or go to Italy, or go to France, or do the Grand Canyon, whatever, and do it together in a small group. So we are ready.
That's right. I've said we'll never take travel for granted again, and when we do it, we're going to want to do it with the people we love. So yep, I see lots of that in our future. In closing, if you all don't mind just kind of taking a moment to express your opinion on how important it is to book during this time, especially with a reputable travel agency. Starting with Robin with Grand Canyon Railways, do you feel like that's important?
Oh, absolutely. And just from my experience working with the travel agents, going back to March, and friends and people that have had things booked that didn't get their money back, the majority of people that did book with travel agency, because of their relationships that they have with the different vendors, have been able to recoup the monies or move them to a different departure, which I think is fabulous. The other thing is they have knowledge that you may or may not have on your own. And a great example I can give is, and I learned this having a group of travel agents actually on the train, but you can split classes of service on our train. And so you can go up in first and come back in luxury if you wanted to. And I happen to have a couple that booked their own round trip in the luxury dome, and they decided they wanted to experience the luxury parlor car also, which we assign seats. And so going to a reputable agency, agent, counselor, they have that experience from us to be able to advise you that you can do those things and be able to experience it versus trying to figure it out all on your own.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Dan, with Insight, do you feel like it's important to book your vacations through a reputable travel agency during this time?
Absolutely. Now more than ever. I have a friend who booked a vacation for April and he cannot get any of his money back and is having issues just talking to the company that he booked through. And it's just a pain. He didn't go through a travel advisor. So it is so important, not only for the peace of mind that they're going to do all the work for you, all the dirty work you don't want to do, but also going forward in this kind of navigating the new normal, this new pandemic world. To have the travel advisor like the ones at Cruise Holidays who are so knowledgeable and personal and just know so much about what's going on. They kind of navigate those complicated waters of different protocols, different places we can go to. I couldn't do it by myself. You have to use a travel advisor, and they're so helpful and they're so great at what they do. So definitely now more than ever, it's a must that they go through a travel advisor.
Fantastic, Dan. Thank you so much. And Robin with Globus, same to you. How important is it right now who you book through?
Well, you know, I've always, I mean, this is my 25th year in the travel industry. I started off as a travel professional, and I'm proud to say that I work so closely with everybody at Cruise Holidays. And it is one of the best VIP experiences you can provide yourself is to call a professional travel advisor like Cruise Holidays, because they will take care of things from start to finish. And in a post-COVID world, you know, if you weren't to use a travel professional, everything would lie on you to find out if the hotels are up to safety and health standards, if the motor coaches or the hop on, hop off tour, all of that. And all of you at Cruise Holidays do such a great job of making sure that your customers have the right information. And then also you'll see between the three of us, we've had overlap in what we offer. So even today, when we're helping you make a decision, sitting down with your counselor at Cruise Holidays, they'll be able to help point you in the right direction based on what's important to you as to which of the brands and which style of travel is going to be best. So, you know, it's a great gift to give yourself, the gift of a travel advisor.
Well, we thank you guys so much for all that feedback. You're so valuable to us, and we just we're so thankful for a relationship with you all. So I don't know if we had any questions in the chat box that came up. Did we, Jessica? Are we good on that? If anyone has any questions, okay, great, no questions. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're always happy to help. Our phone number at Cruise Holidays is 816-741-7417, or feel free to send an email to our receptionist and she will pass that along to one of the travel counselors to answer any questions you have. That email address is RECEP, spelled RECEP, at 𝐶HKC.travel. And in closing, I just want to thank you all so much for joining us. We are so excited to get the travel world up and running again. And it's always encouraging. I know some of our, Robin with Grand Canyon Railways, it sounds like you guys have continued to stay fairly busy. And that's just gives us a lot of hope for the future for all of us and our hosted tours. So we just thank you guys so much for your time and look forward to chatting with you all in the future. Thanks again.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.